I pledge allegiance to the flag and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Vice President McCullough, for leading us to the pledge. Welcome, everybody. This is a wonderful experience for us to be here, to join you here at Penn High School. Thank you so much for coming out and being with us on your Monday night. We're just delighted to be here. I want to take a moment and also say a word of thanks to everybody who's chosen to join us tonight via our live YouTube feed. We welcome you as well. We're so happy to be here to hear all about the exciting things that are happening at Penn High School. And so let's get started. We'll call this meeting to order at 7:01 p.m. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Board members, any changes? Administration.
The administration has no changes.
Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the Monday, February 27, 2023 regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. Next up is the approval of the minutes. Board members, any additions or changes to the minutes for the February 13, 2023 executive session and regular board meeting? Hearing none, administration.
The administration has no changes.
Then do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February 13, 2003 executive session and regular board meeting as presented?
I so move.
A second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. That motion also carries by a vote of 7-0. Well, Dr. Thacker, very special night being here with some of our students at Penn High School. And so we're going to turn it over to you for the superintendent's recognitions and announcements.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, Board of Trustees. Welcome, everyone. It's so exciting to be here. My favorite high school in the entire world. And it really is the kingdom, right? We're going to have a chance to hear from some amazing students and, of course, some teachers. And this environment is so much fun. I've seen many performances in here, and we're delighted to be here tonight. So at this point, I'd like to introduce and welcome our outstanding board ambassador from Penn High School, Kiara Eshebak.
Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, and members of the board. We are all very happy to have you here tonight at Penn High School, and I'm back to share some athletic, academic, and fine arts achievements with you once again. Starting off with athletic highlights, Penn Swim and Dive placed 8th in the state competition, with Colin Fleming placing 12th in the 100-meter breaststroke. Chris Oberly, Nate Tamelas, Leo Nee, and Reed Olson also placed 10th in the 400-meter freestyle relay. Senior Marcus Burton of Penn basketball was honored at the senior night game for being the first high school boys basketball player in St. Joseph County to score over 2,000 career points. Thus, he has become one of the all-time leading scorers in high school boys basketball across the country. Congratulations to Marcus, and good luck to the boys basketball team as they begin their state run. Finally, Coach Cates, who serves as the Penn Strength and Conditioning Coach, was named as the 2023 Regional Coach of the Year, and we are very thankful for his coaching across all sports and proud of this achievement. In academic news, the Penn Technology Student Association competed at Purdue University, and 19 of our own competitors placed first in the competition. Penn TSA advisor Stephen Sinish was also named the Chapter Advisor of the Year. Congratulations to all TSA students and Stephen Sinish for this achievement. In fine arts news, the Penn High School musical of Cinderella is taking place March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, so be sure to get your tickets because they do sell out quickly. Finally, in Kingsman Court news, we sold out all of our 216 chocolate roses for our Valentine's Day candygrams. Students were able to send these to their friends along with a message or note, and our Kingsman Court reps delivered these to classrooms on Valentine's Day. All profits are going towards our senior sunrise event at the end of the school year, which will be held on the football field in May. Our Keep Pedaling contest has been very successful so far, and our recent competitions include participation in a Valentine's Day Spirit Day and a class activity where students described and wrote down memos and positive messages about what keeps them pedaling. Thank you for your time, and that is all I have for you tonight.
Thank you, Kiara. Lots of wonderful things going on. Thank you, as always, for keeping us up to date. It's great to see you again. See you next time.
Thank you.
Another great thing that's going to be happening, we're going to have joining us this evening is our Executive Director of Penn-Harris-Madison Education Foundation, Ms. Jen Turnbaum, will present the 2022 Fall Grants Report. And I'll just say this, she does a phenomenal job. When we think of all the wonderful things that we do, we are certainly enhanced because PHM Education Foundation supports excellence. So thank you for coming here tonight.
Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here tonight. I'm excited about all the things happening across our school district and really, really excited to share updates from the foundation with all the programs and grants that we've been funding this year and all the exciting events we have coming up. We fund a variety of programs district-wide. These are ongoing annual programs. Penn Robotics is one of the big things that we love to support. The Young Authors Conference, which is coming up on March 4th. Running is Elementary, which will be on May 1st. We also work with Gibson Insurance to provide after-school tutoring for all of our Title I schools. We also sponsor the Kingsman Art Gallery, and our newest program this year is Short Circuits. I wanted to just share a little bit about the success of this program this year. This was actually recognized by Notre Dame. They have worked with us on the funding for this project. We were able to offer it at no cost to all third graders district-wide. They were able to stay after school. It ran very similarly to Running is Elementary, where they got to pair up with high school robotics team members, learn about programming and teamwork and what the robotics competition world entails. We had 245 students participate at no cost to their families. We already have families reaching out with interest for the years to come. And so I think it was really successful. It also kicked off robotics teams at 2 different schools for First Lego League, which is the earliest. It's kind of a stepping stone for them. So they get to start that in 4th grade. And we actually funded a starter team for Walt Disney through our fall grant cycle. So I'm really excited about the success of this and that we're able to kind of give all of these young students an opportunity to get into robotics at a really young age. We had our fall grant cycle, which wrapped up, and we announced all of the grants in November. So some of these grants have already gotten into the schools, and I'm excited to give updates. I wanted to highlight a couple of the Penn grants since we're here at Penn tonight. All of the grants that we fund are available on the website at www.phmef.org. You can see all the grants we fund annually, more information about our programs, our annual report, all of that kind of information. So we actually had $33,787 worth of grant funding requested. For our fall grant, we were able to fund $13,663 in traditional grants and $1,565 in easy grants. My goal long-term is to be able to fund every good grant that comes across our desks. There's so many amazing, passionate teachers in the district. There's so many cool things they want to do with the students. If we could say yes to all of those, we can make such a big impact on these students. So like I said, I wanted to highlight, this lists all of the grants. Like I said, those are available on the website. I'm sure it's a little small for you all to read on the screen. But I wanted to highlight, this one was so cool. It is the Penn Plant Club actually helped write this grant for the biology classes. And it was for a vertical garden kit, as well as a hydroponic garden tower. The biology classes are using it to study photosynthesis and plant life. The Plant Club is helping take care of these plants. The really neat thing about it was the Plant Club actually held a succulent sale to offset some of the costs of this grant. So they approached us and they said, we've already raised $500 from these succulents that they sold to their classmates, and they wanted to try this. So it's already up and running and growing up by the biology lab. And so it's just really cool to not only see these kids so excited and passionate, but to see it already in action and in use in our schools. Another Penn High School grant that we did in the fall is Life-Saving Science, Safe Sleep Saves Lives, which is a little bit of a tongue twister. This was a grant for $1,800. It is for the science classes, and it provides these infant models. It's a 3D infant model, as you can see here, and the students are able to study oxygen saturation in different positions. So it helps them learn about, if you put a baby to sleep on its back, that's obviously the safest. Here's what the oxygen levels do. They can test all of these different things with oxygen levels with infants. And so not only is it benefiting these students, it's giving them a hands-on approach to learning things, which is one of the things I think is just amazing about our science classes. They give these kids an opportunity. You're not reading a textbook. It's, here's a 3D baby. We'll show you what it does when you move it like a baby. And it's such a neat way to do that. But they're also then taking that information, and the students are creating presentations to share with the community. So the long-term hope is not only does this benefit our students, it's community-wide benefit as it reduces the risk of SIDS and spreads knowledge and information throughout our community, which again is the long-term goal here. The more that we can do for our students, the more opportunities for excellence we give them. They go out, they impact our community positively, and it's a win all around. So you can see these are the easy grants we funded. To give you an idea of what an easy grant would be, it's a grant under $250. It's a shorter form. We wanted to give teachers an opportunity to ask for some of those smaller things. So one of the coolest ones we did was a green screen for Schmucker to do their morning news. We saw it, we're like, what a fun idea. What a great thing to give these kids. It's just a nice way for us to take some of those smaller needs and do it without the long application. And again, those are all on our website as well. I wanted to give you a quick update on all of our events. Our spring grant cycle is actually opening on March 1st. So that is open to everyone in all PHM employees. Anyone can apply for a grant as long as they're a PHM employee and they demonstrate the impact on the students. So we're really excited to see all of the ideas from our teachers and administrators. And we had Silver Mile Homecoming. We got to co-host that this year, again with Penn High School. It was fantastic. I got to work with Mr. Parker and Ms. Doan on a really fun parade that it benefited the entire community. Everybody was really excited to see all the floats out there. And we're excited that next year, it sounds like we'll be able to expand that and welcome some of the elementary schools to march in it and participate too. Really just builds that community pride for our amazing school districts, starting with the youngest kids. So we're excited to host that again next year. We have our job fair coming up March 14th. That's open again to all businesses in the community. We'll have the entire junior and senior class from Penn High School come during one of their blocks. They will spend half of that class period in the job fair, and half of it we'll have a speaker from TCU talking to them about smart financial decisions they can make to set themselves up for success for the future. We're really excited to have, I think we have 70 businesses signed up to participate right now. So we have a few tables left, but we would love to hit the 80, 85 number and have all of them here. That'll be in the arena in the morning on the 14th. And then we do have a fundraiser on March 15th. It will be a floral arranging workshop. We have tickets for sale on our website. You can come learn how to do a flower arrangement, benefit our spring grant cycle, and take home that gorgeous arrangement with you. We also have the superintendent's breakfast coming up on May 10th. Very excited, as Dr. Thacker will obviously be our guest of honor, sharing updates about all the amazing things in the district. That'll be out at St. Joe Farms, and we have sponsorship information again available on the website now, and ticket information will come out a little later this year. So a lot of great things going on. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here tonight and share them with you. And thank you for all that you do to support our schools and give all the kids the opportunities we do.
Thank you. Come on back up. We had feedback, but there were a few things I want to say. Look, I remember over a year ago when you told me about short circuits and the program that you had envisioned and taking short circuits and robotics to third graders. Got so excited, and what you've done in the succeeding year has been nothing short of remarkable. It's so great to see the foundation dedicating these resources to expanding STEM and the excitement for STEM to our elementary school students. I compliment you on the vision that you had then, and in looking through some of the grants, I'm so proud of what you're doing at the foundation, but also our teachers and the novelty and creativity that they have in applying for some of these grants. I mean, leave it to Julia Rulli, of course, but she came up with one that just made me smile. See it and 3D it. I love that. And, you know, just bringing this STEM mentality to our elementary schools. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And thank all of our teachers who've applied for these grants and thought of ways to apply the money for the betterment of their classroom. So it's great to see you again. We look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much.
Okay, now we move on to the real highlight of the night, because we're right here at Penn High School with some of the most talented students. And Dr. Gallagher and the students and staff have prepared a wonderful presentation plan for us tonight. They're going to be highlighting some of Penn's great programs and opportunities. So Dr. Gallagher, along with members of his administrative team, will also present their first annual semester achievement report this evening. And so you see these people coming in, they are absolutely phenomenal. Dr. Gallagher.
All right, what an entrance. Can you guys hear me okay? I feel like the mic is not. It's on now. All right. So thank you, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, members of the board, and welcome Mr. Chaffee and Ms. Sullivan. You've been here before, but welcome to the first board meeting that we are hosting. I, along with my colleagues, Associate Principal Rachel Fry, Assistant Principals Sarah Hendricks, Jeannie Mitchell, Josiah Parker, and Athletic Director Jeff Hart are excited to share this report with you this evening. We'll be focusing on Penn High School, so strap on your seatbelts, because we're going to also be highlighting our first semester reports. We're combining both of those reports, and thank you to Dr. Thacker for allowing us to do that tonight. I first would like to acknowledge a couple students that are standing over here. So if I can have the 4 students from our Kingsman Quartet, if you could come up front here just for a moment. We can give them a round of applause. We have Catherine Javian, Biddy Claire Moore, maybe just raise your hand, Katoro Jutsi, and Mahima Vinay. Is that correct? And Mahima is a junior, was announced earlier this month as one of 4 gold winners in the state of Indiana Music Educators Association composition competition.
Nice.
So her piece for the string quartet won. And I think you were competing against college students, is that correct? Yes. Awesome. So thank you for being here tonight. You're now excused. They are to go back to the musical. I think some of them are participating in that. Yes. There we go. All right, so we have the presentation up on the screen. There we go. All right, my clicker works. Beautiful. Okay, so one of the things that we like to share each time at our first semester achievement report is to give you an update kind of on our school goals related to what we're trying to accomplish this year. So you can see them listed here on the screen. We obviously want to maintain a 95% graduation rate or higher, improve our SAT success. We'll talk a little bit about that in our meeting today. Continue to implement high quality instruction and relevant professional development for our staff. Continue to focus on our attendance rate for our students and strengthening the school community. So we're going to update you on a couple of those key goals. And to get us started is this idea of keep pedaling. And so one of the things that you may be aware is building trades teacher Mr. Les Crooks set out on a journey during the summer of 2022 to race across America. So many of us watched Les's ride daily and eagerly awaited updates from his posts. Les had so many positive words and inspirational things to share, despite going through a grueling ride. And we wanted to carry over that inspiration to our school this year. So Les shared that one of the most important pieces of advice he received was to keep pedaling throughout the race and to stay on the bike even when he wanted to quit or when he was tired and couldn't see straight. So there's ideas of preparation, training, there's coaching, all kinds of different preparation expectations that he had to go through to ensure that he could cross the finish line and not quit during the race. One of the things we did this summer is we had as you can see the pictures, you see Les obviously, But on the bottom right is a picture of our leadership team who participated in a leadership retreat around the theme Keep Pedaling. We built bikes as part of our retreat and gave them to several of our elementary schools throughout the district and that they can use as an incentive. And so that kind of connected to our theme, which was awesome. And then this year we've had several competitions between our staff members, and we just started a student competition where we're giving them opportunities to have fun, build community in the school, and hopefully have fun with it, right? So you can see some pictures here that were taken at different points in the year. Lots of fun ones there. We got some teachers jumping off the ground. And we got building trade students participating in our Valentine's Day dress-up day. Look at all the bottom right, building trades trailer. So it was a lot of fun, and we're excited to continue to work through those events throughout the school year. And as Jen Turnblom mentioned, we had a wonderful homecoming this year, and thanks to her leadership, Marie Doan, Derek White was also instrumental, and we look forward to obviously doing this again next year and expanding and hopefully inviting many of our elementary schools and middle schools to participate. All right, now for some fun. So we're in the Studio Theater, which they also call the Black Box, you can't tell. So our main showcase for tonight includes performances from our spring musical. In this 2013 reboot of a children's classic, Cinderella and the Prince, also known as Ella and Topher, are on their journeys toward greater understanding of not only how they can help make the world a better, kinder place, but also find who they are in the process. The shows are this weekend, as were mentioned, March 3rd, 4th, and 5th, so we'd love to see you there. So tonight, we have several students who are going to perform. We did have one student, Cinderella, who got sick tonight. So we have somebody filling in. I think that's Michaela Daffron. I'm sorry if I didn't say that correctly. But then we have Sutter Sherwood, Liam Palmer, Avery Zolman, Aiden Shoemaker, Ava Gallo, Ella Glassburn, Caitlin Levon, Lauren Miller, and Maya Newberg, and Bella Rebeloso and Ella Shaver, under the direction of Daniel Black and her team. So I'm going to invite them out for the performance.
I wake in the loneliness of sunrise, when the deep purple heaven turns blue, and start to pray as I pray each day that I'll hear some word from you. I lie in the loneliness of evening, let out on a silver flake sea, and ask the moon, oh, how soon will my love come home to me? I have found she's my angel, with the dust of the stars in her eyes. We are dancing and flying, and she's taking me back to the skies. I lie in the loneliness of evening, looking out on a silver flake sea, and ask the moon, oh, how soon will my love come home to me? Will my love come home to me?
What just happened? No, seriously, what just happened? Why would a fellow want a girl like her, a frail and fluffy beauty? Why can't a fellow ever once prefer a solid girl like
Footwear is now falling from the sky.
It's gone. The golden carriage is taking a shortcut right through the forest. Gentlemen, we must find her if it is the last thing we do. She is my lady.
So discerning, and I really like the way he holds her clever, cunning, ever charming. How do I make you see I'm special? Aww, it's a pity, it's a pity. I'm as pretty, plus I got the patience of a perfect saint. So I'm waiting, always waiting. Nevertheless, I am a mess. Loosen my dress, help me, I'm starting to. Why would a fellow want a girl like her, a girl who isn't dizzy? Why can't a fellow ever once prefer a high-strung girl like me? Her cheeks are a pretty shade of pink. What's the matter with the man? Not any pinker than a rose. What's the matter with the man? Might be delicate and soft. What's the matter with the man? Not any softer than a dozen. Her neck is no wider than a swan. What's the matter with the man? What's the matter with the man? Only it's graceful as a bird. So why is the fellow going crazy? Oh, why would a fellow want a girl like her? A girl who's merely lovely. Why can't a fellow ever once prefer a girl who's merely me? What's the matter with the man? What's the matter with the man? What's the matter with the man? What's the matter? Leave me at her! What's the matter with the man? What's the matter with the man? What's the matter with the man?
That was fantastic. Thank you, Ms. Black, and the rest of the staff and students who will be performing this week. So we hope you can come out and join in the fun. Thank you, Mrs. Secor, for playing on the piano there. That was fun. All right, so now we're gonna get back to part of our achievement report. So as I alluded to at the beginning, we talk a lot about graduation rate, and as you can see here, we like to put up our anticipated graduation rate for this year, 2023. And you can see it's a slight uptick from previous years. We're hoping to get to close to 98% this year. And part of the reason for that change is a result of our 9 students who will receive an alternative diploma this year, which is about 1%. So this is, that 1% represents students who were on a certificate track previously, and the state came out recently with a new graduation plan for students that were on certificate track who could now meet graduation requirements under the alternative diploma track. So we're excited that they will be a part of our graduation rate going forward. So that's exciting news. Also, as we think about our college and career readiness, I always report this out. We're looking at around 78% for 2023. So again, we're still trending in the right direction. What I'm excited to share is our goal is to increase this to close to 100% by the year 2027. So in about 4 years from now, as we'll be having all of our 9th grade students participate in a dual credit class through Ivy Tech called Career Information and Exploration. So again, those will be freshmen next year, and so that'll take 4 years for the data to be reflected here. So our goal is to get to 100%. Our projected honor diplomas, as you can see there, we're hovering right around 55% for the class of 2023. So that's great news for our students that have been able to stay on track with the requirements of the honors diploma. So that's going to be the highest we've been in a few years, and we're going to keep those kids on track. So we're excited for that data. And then AP enrollment is also moving the right direction. So you can see here, our 2024 anticipated number is 1,670 students enrolled in an AP course. So that is as of today. And so scheduling is still occurring. So we do anticipate this to rise slightly in the next month or so. One of the significant changes to our program of studies, as you may know, is our 9th graders are taking AP World History instead of Geography and History of the World honors. So we have honors tracks and regular courses at the freshman level, but instead of honors geography and history of the world, the students can choose AP World History. So that's part of the increase that you see there as well. Okay, so this next slide is going to be fun, and I'm not going to read every number on here. So you have access to this data when you click on the click here at the top left, but I'm only going to highlight one portion of this, just to give you a taste of what we do in terms of tracking how we compare to other schools around the state. So Dr. Short gave an update, probably, and I think Dr. Lavandi Nall on the GPS, the Graduate Prepared to Succeed dashboard, about a month or so ago. And so what this is a dashboard of all the different schools that we benchmark against. So we pulled all of their data and kind of put them in this spreadsheet, and we did some filtering. And so I'm going to highlight what I have here. So this gives you a list of, again, GPS metrics. And one of the things I want to point you to is that blue column. So I've sorted this by students who have passed both SAT assessments. So you can see there, we have, there's a variance column, and then there's free and reduced numbers to the right. So you can see free and reduced numbers throughout the state, and then of course at the schools listed on the slide. And then the 47.5% is the number of our juniors last year, current seniors, who passed both sections of the SAT. So you can see how other schools did in that area on this document, but what we like to do is just benchmark according to the variance as we think about numbers of students, percentage of students on free and reduced lunch. So you'll see that negative 26%. What that means, that is taking the number of students who passed both assessments minus the number of paid students at Penn High School. So paid students at Penn High School is about 73.7%. So the 47.5 minus 73 is where we get the minus 26%. So the closer we get that number to zero, I think the better we are doing as a school, and the farther away from zero, the worse we're doing. So you can see how I have it sorted by that first column based on how close schools are to that zero mark. So you can see a couple of high schools above us, but I think it's important to note our free and reduced population is the highest on that list as you look down the second column. So we're proud of our students, our juniors last year who took the SAT for the first time. We did a lot of great things with them to prepare them. It was the first time they had to take that test. I mean, every junior in the state took that test last year. And just a reminder, our students did very well in comparison to the state, top 5% in math and top 7% in English language arts across the state. So we're proud of that, and we're looking forward to what they're going to accomplish this year. And the SAT is actually this Wednesday, March 1st. So what a way to start the spring. We're going to take the SAT as a junior. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Associate Principal, Mrs. Rachel Fry, who's going to discuss some additional information related to the GPS dashboard, specifically dual credit.
Thank you, Dr. Gallagher. Another piece of valuable data that is available on the new GPS dashboard is related to students earning college credentials, not to be confused with college credits in general. So these credentials are talking about the ICC, Indiana College Core, the associate's degree, or other credentials that might be earned by our students through the Elker Area Career Center. I'll expand more on that in a moment. But first, we have to brag on early college just a little bit. You may have heard this through a social media announcement from CEL, the University of Indianapolis, or PHM this fall. But as of that date, when the announcement was made, CEL had trained over 150 Indiana high schools on the early college principles. 44 of those early college programs earned endorsement, and one of those early college programs earned endorsement with distinction. That is Penn High School. Our Early College Academy was awarded the first early college program in the state to earn this level 2 endorsement with distinction. There are a number of additional criteria that you can see here listed on the slide that needed to be met in order to do that. Welcome you to enter the main doors of Penn High School and look up to see a sign hung signifying the accomplishments of our early college students, staff, and counselors. So moving on. Shortly after that announcement was made, our early college leadership team was asked to mentor 3 other schools who have been slow to implement early college programs or uninvolved or unaware of early college initiatives altogether. So this program, dubbed UCAN, will last a little over 2 years. We are in the middle of that work now. As you can see on the slide, it's mentioning some of the benefits that we get to provide to the other schools, but also some benefits to our own, and that we are continuing to build and grow in our own initiatives. And funding came with this mentorship as well, so that we are able to put some additional pieces in place that we've been dreaming about. Okay, as I mentioned about the dual credit credentials, so Penn once again led the state in total post-secondary credentials last school year. We had 180 students earn 194 total degrees or certificates. For comparison, the next closest school had 144 students earning 160 degrees or certificates. Again, we have a much larger number of dual credits earned by our students altogether. This is a specific focus on a credential. So we want to build upon, even though we're first place, we want to continue to expand this program, the knowledge of it, and how to achieve it, as well as how it benefits each of our students. So the first step was to clearly communicate this information about the Indiana College Core to our students and families. So the Indiana College Core is a block of 30 college credits. General education, college level coursework transfers seamlessly among all Indiana high school public colleges and universities. Prior to that, we still offered a lot of dual credit opportunities in AP and ACP to our students, many of which took advantage of those opportunities. What we learned is there's a very specific set of courses that need to be taken to have this guarantee that they will transfer to meet those freshman year requirements. So we are just helping our students be slightly more strategic in giving them guidance related to dual credit course selections, especially if they know they plan to attend a post-secondary university in the state of Indiana. So we have about 25 students who have formally opted in already. And I just want to thank the board and the administration for continuing to support the stipends for our teachers who go back to school, become credentialed to be able to teach these courses. This is why we are able to do these things and bring these opportunities to students. So I thank you for that. As you just heard Dr. Gallagher mention, SAT, it's another piece of data that we can look at on the dashboard and dissect in a number of different ways. This is the second year. This is an overview of our preparation plan. I think it's a great plan, but I'm biased. We continue to learn and grow in terms of preparation. We are seeking out other opportunities, what we can offer to our students, and each time we still keep going back to ultimately what a lot of the crux of our original plan was, because it is serving us well at this time, and we have other schools who have sought us out to ask about our plans given our student success rate last year. So it's this Wednesday. If you know a junior, wish them luck. Well, don't wish them luck. They're well prepared. Send them words of encouragement. Believe it or not, 2023 is an accreditation year for Penn, having had our last one 5 years ago. It's been an interesting 5 years, to say the very, very least. Formerly known as Advanced Ed, Cognia's accreditation process ensures that building leaders can embrace a growth mindset. At the same time, we celebrate our successes. We always want to consistently monitor, evaluate, and adjust in order to provide the best educational experience for all of our students. Thank you to the parents, students, and staff who completed surveys. That was incredibly useful information and a big, important piece of our work through the accreditation cycle that you can see outlined on this slide. We also compiled a large amount of data, which was extensively analyzed. Classroom observations and self-assessment reflections were contributing factors as well. So all of this information was put together, and it seemed really big at some points, but we whittled it down in order to identify areas of excellence and theories of action. You can see those on the next slide. So our areas of excellence that were identified, given all of the data and feedback collected from stakeholders, was supportive learning environments, distributed leadership model, and a sense of self-efficacy among our learners. The theories of action then that we have already just last week started putting some plans in place are active learning, continuous improvement model, and work around our professional learning communities and continuing to grow in that area. So now I will turn it over to Assistant Principal Jeannie Mitchell, who will continue the conversation about growth and student progress, including noteworthy academic achievements.
Thank you, Mrs. Fry. Continuing to talk about Cognia and our accreditation review, an important part of that is a deep data dive. And so both through that and yearly school improvement plans, we analyze student grades. So you can see within the past few years, we're seeing positive trends in terms of overall grades students are receiving, an increase in the number of A's, and F's have declined dramatically in the past few years. You'll also hear us frequently talk about on track as a measure by which we determine are our students on track to meet that graduation rate goal that we have. And so for each grade level, that looks a little different. But after this first semester, we determined that 94.8% of our ninth graders are on track. So if you need at least 40 credits to graduate, a ninth grader is on track if they complete at least 5 credits in the first semester. So that's just that indication. So we also have been taking this a little further by grade level this year with on-track measures. So we have these grade level on-track teams that are meeting monthly with our administrators, counselors, school psychologists, and deans to identify students who are not on track based upon their goal, and to try to come up with better interventions in support of what teachers are already doing in the classroom. We've seen success with that, especially with our seniors, and we just continue to monitor that over the whole year. Included in that growth, both by what we see with students and what teachers are requesting, we're really proud that we can have in-house professional development. So our instructional leaders, who are our teacher leaders, and many of our staff members help with our monthly professional development. So all of our teachers attend at least 30 minutes of a professional development session every month based upon their requests or needs that we're seeing in the building. You can see some of our topics that we've had this year so far. And then in addition to that, our teachers new to Penn, we kind of focus our instructional leaders on them so that they can practice co-planning, co-teaching, some feedback that's not evaluative, ways to help them acclimate and to continue to grow. And then on top of that, we do intentional orientation and PD just with our teachers new to Penn. So those are ways that we continue that growth even in the classroom. So now I get to brag about all of the academic achievements of our students at Penn High School that growth leads to. But I want to make a point and say, we recognize that these achievements are a result of students' incredible hard work and willingness to take risks, right? They got there because of that. So while I won't read every name on here, you can see that we have many things that we're proud of. I will say Mr. Starkweather has built up quite a successful speech and debate team. Speech, I think, is headed to state soon, if I'm not mistaken. He's incredibly passionate, and students are seeing great success there. As we move forward, Spell Bowl was a state runner-up this year. Numerous students, in addition to that, were recognized as Scholastic Arts winners. You may have heard that. The Gold Key winners, which we had 12, will be sent to compete at the national level in New York City. This is a recognition that usually carries with it scholarships and other opportunities that show up as a result. But all 3 levels are on display in the Warner Gallery at the South Bend Museum of Art in the Century Center until March 12th. So you're welcome to go visit. Amazing work by these students. Additionally, not just artwork, but literary artwork, you would say as well. Our Spectrum magazine, led by Kaylee Armstrong, continues to receive accolades and recognition for its work. Have any of you read or seen the Spectrum magazine? It's really cool. All kinds of artwork, poetry, photography, even some things in other languages are submitted all by students. Really incredible. At Penn High School, so each year, let me clarify this, 161 students are named as presidential scholars. This is one of the nation's highest honors for high school students. We have 4 students who completed the application process, and these are our presidential scholar nominees, as you can see on this page. But our candidates, we had several who were candidates for this program, and so we're just really proud. This is, again, one of the highest honors that a high school student can achieve. I did want to take a moment to recognize these students, because I think they might all be here tonight, as in part of the IASP, the international, excuse me, the Organization for Student.
Indiana Association. School principals.
Thank you, school principals. I'm still new here. I'm earning that. Rising Stars Class of 2024 is where we recognize juniors who are on their way to seeing even greater things during their senior year. So we have Jaden Wong. Are you here? There he is. Nice, congrats. Joel Bell. I didn't find him. Okay, Felix Zhang. Oh, I lied. And Lillian Gregory. I did see that. Congratulations. And this helps them increase their visibility and scholarship opportunities as well. It's just a recognition as they're getting ready to look forward to senior year. Okay, this one's pretty incredible. We had 2 students who received the Lilly Endowment Scholarship this year. Since it first began being awarded in 1998, Penn has had a total of 33 Lilly Scholars. That's more than any other high school in the county. And it accounts for 25% of the total number of scholars since they began giving the award in 1998. Really impressive, and I wanted to make sure to point that out. We had 4 students who received the Posse Award from Purdue for their leadership. They were selected from a total of over 1,300 nominees. I think I see Biddy Claire over there. Congratulations. And then we've got our National Merit finalists. We had 15 National Merit semifinalists and 14 National Merit finalists. This is the most we've had in the past 10 years. These are among the top 15,000 students in the entire country. Here's the rest of them here. This is, and again, I just wanted to point this out. In 2019, we had 8 National Merit semifinalists, and this year we had 15. And it's approximately 1.5 million high school students who enter this program. So to make it out as a finalist is an incredible accomplishment. And finally, 2 of our students will be participating in a unique and, in my opinion, life-changing experience in the IU Honors Foreign Language Study Abroad program. Alex Tartaglione will be studying, he's a Spanish student, and he'll be studying in Spain this summer, Ciudad Real. And Luke Johnson, who's a German student, will be studying in Graz, Austria this summer. Now I'm going to turn it over to Assistant Principal Sarah Hendricks, who's going to talk about another unique program for students striving to help them find success in alternative ways.
All right, Penway continues to be an effective vehicle for our alternative education students to earn credits while also building positive relationships. Our daily credits have now leveled back into the pre-pandemic stages, as you can see there. The past couple of years, we have had students that had to make up a significant amount of credits, but we've already had 8 students reach their graduation requirements at Penway, and over 20 students graduate from night school. We've also partnered with Mr. White to form a mentoring program for those students to help guide the Penway students and help them plan for their future. We continue to have great success with our JAG program and successfully developed a new JAG pathway for students. The JAG students recently took a field trip to Ivy Tech to explore the college and certificate programs beyond high school. 4 Penway students, which you'll see up here, participated in the JAG, which is Jobs for American Graduates Career Development Conference on Friday, February 3rd, 2023. Mr. Ben Slocum, who's up there with his students, is our JAG specialist. He helped these students prepare for the competition. Students had a choice of 11 different categories in which to compete. Baylin Miller won the category of creative solutions, and Sheila Archer won in the category of writing skills. And they're now going to be competing at the state conference in March. So we're very excited for them. Next up, we have our Assistant Principal, Mr. Parker, who's going to talk about some exciting project-based learning.
Thank you, Sarah. So I had a lot to talk about, and then Jennifer spoke, and I brought a couple kids with me, so I don't really have much to say today. I took about everything. So let me start with talking about our short circuit program. So I invited Henry Gillen to come talk to you about that.
Hello, everyone. It's an honor to be speaking to you here tonight on behalf of the Penn Robotics team here at Penn High School. My name is Henry Gillen. I am a junior here at Penn, and this is my 3rd year in the robotics program. So I know from sitting back there, you guys have already heard a decent bit about the statistics surrounding short circuits itself, but I wanted to provide a little perspective into what a program like this does for our 3rd graders. So this is my 3rd year in robotics here at the school, but I started my journey with robotics all the way back in 2013 during my 3rd grade year at Horizon Elementary School here in Penn-Harris-Madison. So I was in Mrs. Klein's third grade math class, and I had the opportunity to participate in a third grade robotics team, much like the Sphero short circuit program that we put on at elementary schools around our corporation. And through this program and through working with Mrs. Klein and the Penn Robotics team during 2013, I was able to gain invaluable skills in STEM, and I also sparked my initiative and my drive to pursue robotics, and that has pushed me to improve my grades, participate in extracurricular activities outside of robotics. It's pushed me to volunteer in my community. And it's pushed me to participate in the short circuits program. I really went into it with the idea of giving a third grader out there, whether it be at Horizon or North Point or Mary Frank, the drive and the inspiration that I once felt from the Penn Robotics team during my third grade year. So I'm going to hand it off to one of my other teammates to tell you about one of our other programs, but I hope that gave you a little bit of perspective into the power that this program has. Thank you.
I couldn't have said it any better. Another project that our students worked on was an MRI machine project. One of our new family consumer science teachers used to work in the hospitals with children, and getting into an MRI machine is kind of scary for young children. So she thought it might be a cool idea to have some type of model that they could show to young children so they knew what was going to happen when they went to get into MRI. So they approached Mrs. Peters, one of our engineering teachers, and she found a student that was interested in it. And they designed, 3D printed several models of MRI machines. You can see the final design on here, and they can put a small animal or a Barbie into that and show the child what it's going to be like when they get ready to go into the MRI to kind of ease some of those concerns. So this is a great project. I have not heard much since this. So I don't know where it's at or how much it's been used, but it's at the hospital. It is being used. So I look forward to hearing some more about that project. I brought another student with me to talk about our mission to engineer. This is Isaac Gould.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Isaac Gould. I'm a senior here at Penn High School. I've been a part of the Penn Robotics team since my freshman year. As part of the Penn Robotics team, I am the lead representative for our Mission to Engineer team, which is a assistive technology creation initiative started by Penn High School students back in 2017. But we've been working to create assistive technology devices for individuals in the community all the way since 2015, where we developed a prosthetic hand for a young woman in our community. This year, as part of, through my involvements with the program this year, I've been able to discover one of my greatest passions, which is helping those in need. Not only myself, but our team holds great value in accessibility and inclusivity. We've been able to see the direct impacts that our works have on those that we work with. Last year, we worked to develop a sensory engagement board for a young boy in our community named Cooper. I was personally there during the delivery and installation of this project and being able to see firsthand the direct results, the direct and immeasurable joy that he was expressing on being able to use this new device, this new toy for him to help learn and to help engage with therapy with his parents as well. This year, we are currently working with two individuals, Richard and Braden, who are pictured on the screen, who are two individuals that we were contacted or made connections with through Beacon Health Systems. Both of these individuals have cerebral palsy and have a very acute and specific set of needs that our team works to develop devices to fit. This year, we have developed 7 different unique devices to help fit their needs, ranging from things as complex as a communication device for Richard to signal to his parents if he wakes up late at night, or a toy basket for Braden to help him move more independently throughout his house. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, gentlemen. And a few events that are coming up, we've kind of alluded to both of them. Our first robotics competition is back at Penn after a few years off. of no competitions. We'll be hosting again this weekend, March 4th and 5th. So if anybody wants to come who's watching, we'll start about 10 o'clock on Saturday. Competitions will start and we will close up about 5 o'clock on Sunday. So feel free to stop by. There's no cost to the public. We even have a Next Gen Day on Saturday afternoon. So if you have any young children that would like to come and play with some cool robotic STEM techie things, they're welcome to come on Saturday. And as Jennifer said earlier, our job fair, our second annual job fair is coming up in March. Next, we have Jeff Hart, our athletic director.
Thank you. I always seem to follow these brilliant young people every time I see it. It's tough, but I appreciate the opportunity to start talking about our student athletes today. Amazing young people in their own right. We'll get right to it. In the fall, we had 444 participants as student athletes, and they were students first. 3.61 average grade point average, which is outstanding. The effort was led by our girls cross country team. The team itself averaged a 3.72, girls soccer 3.78, girls golf 3.81, and boys tennis with an astonishing 3.82 average GPA. Our on the field competition, our fall athletics again did outstanding. 8 teams competed in IHSA sectionals. We won titles in 6 of those sectionals, and 4 of those teams went on to become regional champions. Our boys tennis team advanced to the Sweet 16 in the state, losing 3-2 to an eventual the state finalist team. Our girls golf finished 13th, boys cross country 14th, girls cross country 6th, girls soccer went to the Elite 8, and boys soccer advanced to the Final 4. So outstanding in the classroom and on the field of competition. One of the lessons you want to teach student athletes in competition is sportsmanship. And so these young people and Coach Doan in the athletic department were recognized for sportsmanship throughout the fall semester in many ways. Sometimes from staff members here at Penn when they saw them being their best selves, but many times from opponents, coaches, athletic directors, officials, and many of them for showing compassion to opponents who are either injured, having a tough day, whatever it may be after a tough contest. And so always putting their best foot forward on behalf of Penn High School. Girls wrestling, once again, state champions, the 6th time in 7 years. Girls wrestling is what the IHSA classifies as an emerging sport. There's 170 schools in the state right now that compete. And once again, we were the state champions. We were well positioned to be a dominant program when the IHSA does classify it as a full sport. We have outstanding participation, obviously quality coaching, our coach, coach in the Olympics, and outstanding support certainly from our administration. We had 9 female wrestlers finish in the top 8 in the state, which is just an astonishing number. Mackenzie Conans was state champion again for the 2nd time. And I bring that up specifically because the 2 years when she wasn't the state champ, she was a state runner-up. So just phenomenal career here at Penn, and she's headed to Aurora University Wrestle. But before she does that, she'll be the youngest wrestler in her weight class at the U.S. Open, which leads eventually to the Olympics. So we wish her well. Girls swimming, again, I stood up here last year and talked about the outstanding team we had. Once again, another electric performance by our girls swim team, finishing 3rd in the state. We placed 2nd, our top 2 in 4 events, 3 seconds and a 1st. A number of the team members up there, I won't read all their names, certainly won medals. And again, I stood up here last year and talked about Lily Christensen as the fastest swimmer in the state, sprint champ, 2 years in a row, winning the 50. Setting a state record last year. A couple weekends ago, I was there. She set a state record and got 2nd place. And she, by 1/10 of a second. But this special young student athlete dusted herself off, and a half hour later, won a state championship in the 100-yard dash. So just phenomenal performance, phenomenal student athlete. Before I go too far, I know we had mentioned it earlier, but our ambassador had, our boys swim team finished 8th Saturday at state and had some outstanding relay performances especially. Bowling team, 190 teams in the state runners up. So just phenomenal performance. We recognized them at the last home boys basketball game, and it was an exciting time, just outstanding young representatives of our school. Bella Bauer, Lily Weiss, state champions in the dance senior duo, and they are part of the Palms team this weekend that advanced to the state finals on March 11th in Lafayette. I know we talk about it a lot. I have a sign in my office that was given to me from somebody that I love greatly. It says, "A coach will impact more people in 1 year than the average person will in a lifetime." And certainly it is a reminder of the responsibilities that our coaches, 20 head coaches, 100 plus assistant coaches have to be a positive influence on their student athletes. These 4 received special recognition in the last year. Coach Dykes, Coach Pollock, for outstanding seasons they had in 21-22. More recently, as mentioned, Coach Cates was the Great Lakes Region Strength Coach of the Year, and obviously he has a huge impact on all of our student athletes. And then Coach Ulrich just recently named the Indiana All-Star Head Coach, quite the honor for a career that still has a long way to go for her. Okay, I want to give a special mention to our boys basketball team. Ranked second in the state. They start their march in the postseason tomorrow night at Northside Gym. It's just been a phenomenal year for this program. But I'd also like to make special mention of Marcus Burton, senior Marcus. He's had quite the journey here at Penn High School. It's been exciting to watch close up his growth in the last 4 years, from a quiet freshman starting to the things that he's accomplished in the time here. He's certainly accomplished a lot more in our school than the stats tell us, but those stats are pretty incredible. So our all-time leading scorer in boys basketball, St. Joe County's all-time leading scorer. He's now scored 2,095 points, which puts him in the top 50 in the history of Indiana high school basketball. He's done so, as many of you who know Marcus, with a humble but certainly fiercely competitive edge. And I'd like Marcus, if you would, to come up and say a few things for us tonight.
Hello everyone, I'm Marcus Bird, and I appreciate everyone for having me. I'm thankful for this Penn High School basketball team. Penn did a lot for me over the past years I've been here. I like to thank all the teachers that helped me become a better student, maintain a 3.5 GPA or higher. I'd like to thank all my coaches, Coach Rhodes, Coach Lemmy, and Coach Smith for making me become one of the best basketball players in Indiana. And I just appreciate everyone and appreciate Dr. Dacker for having me today.
I have a question for Marcus. So since you're going to Notre Dame, does the county point record keep going?
That's a great question. Thank you, Marcus. I'm going to turn this over now as we move ahead to talk about Black History Month. I want to introduce Grace McPhair, Penn student. Thanks.
Good evening, Dr. Dacker, President Riley, and members of the board. My name is Grace McPhair. I'm a senior here at Penn High School in the early college program, as well as president of Penn's Black Student Union. I'm really honored and excited to be here speaking to you all about Black History Month and its importance today. At this time of the year, we see various social media campaigns of many prominent figures and achievements of Black history. We see the achievements of African Americans in all walks of life, from sports and music to scholars and actors. Black History Month was originated by Carter G. Woodson, who was known as the father of Black history. He established Black History Week in February 12, 1926, to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. While the week developed into a month of celebration, the intentions of recognizing efforts of Black people in history, as well as educating society, have remained. During different months of the year, we celebrate other cultures, such as Hispanic heritage in September and Native American heritage in November. The contributions of all have helped make this country what it is today. Thank you for your time and happy Black History Month.
Good evening, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. My name is R.C. Glover. I'm a senior in the early college program here at Penn. And I'm also a member of the Black Student Union. And in the Black Student Union, we've been a club since fall of 2020, and we have over 60 members. We are a club that welcomes all students, and some of our goals are to bring students together to embrace and promote diversity, celebrate successes, educational enrichment, and to honor history. We do a variety of things outside of Penn, such as community service that includes our work with Hannah's House over the past few months. This past Friday, we were lucky enough to get to go to the IUSB Civil Rights Heritage Center. And while we have over 60 people in the club, only 28 were able to attend the field trip. Those who came had the opportunity to learn about the civil rights history in our cities. The Heritage Center used to be South Bend's first public natatorium. Despite it being labeled as public, it wasn't. From 1922 to 1936, people of color weren't even allowed in the pool. And then from 1936 to 1950, people of color were only allowed 1 day a week. And then finally, after years and years of fighting for rights and stuff, it was open to everybody. We also learned about civil rights people and people who were important to us, like J. Chester and Elizabeth Allen, Barbara Vance Brandy, and the Farrah family. This field trip was very important to us because we learned a lot of things that we probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Marcus, Grace, and RC for your comments tonight. I really appreciate you participating. And as we wrap up our time today, I know it was longer than usual. I hope you felt engaged and got a taste of Penn High School and all of the wonderful accomplishments our students are achieving here. So this is just a reminder that Penn High School was named a 2022 Best Public High School. I shared this in the summertime, but for our new board members, I want to make sure they're aware based on the metrics that you'll see on the scorecard on the right. So, they look at academic accomplishments of our students as they create these ratings. So thank you for your time tonight. We'd be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
Board members, questions or comments?
Dr. Gallagher, would you do me a favor and email us the GPS dashboard school comparison chart that you showed? For some reason, it wouldn't click.
Got it.
So I'd love to take a closer look at that. It's exciting.
Well, Dr. Gallagher, I have to tell you, when our student performers came out and gave us the part of Cinderella, I thought, I don't know how Dr. Gallagher is possibly going to top that. But this was an incredible presentation. I wouldn't even know where to start or where to begin or where to end in terms of giving recognition to all of our administrators, to you and to all of our students and to all of our parents for the collaborative success of Penn High School. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board and the administration for all that you guys are doing. The numbers speak for themselves. This is an incredible performance. And if you'll do me a favor, please, and pass along the board's deepest thanks to Henry, Isaac, Marcus, Grace, and RC for their presentations. Isaac touched me so much when he was talking about his great passion for STEM and using it for inclusivity and helping people in need. It just really touched me. If you'll pass along our thanks to them, we'd appreciate it. Thank you for all that you're doing. You guys are doing an amazing job. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. The administration recommends approval of the 12 items appearing on the consent agenda. Appearing on the personnel report are certified staff are 2 teachers who will retire at the end of this school year. Ivano, amazing music teacher at Penn High School, following 36 years of service. Unfortunately, 28 of those were at PHM. Tommy Perkins, great art teacher at Schmucker Middle School, with 37 years of service. And also appearing on the personnel report on classified staff is retired Susan Scott, bus operator, who retired on February 24th, following 8 years of service. So we certainly appreciate her transporting the most most precious cargo in the community to Penn-Harris-Madison schools. So on behalf of the board administration, we wish Levon, Tommy, and Susan the very best in their upcoming retirements.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Board members, any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the February 27, 2023 consent agenda as presented by Dr. Thacker?
I so move. A second.
All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Any opposed, vote nay. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. And Levon, Tommy, and Susan, let me join Dr. Thacker in wishing you God's blessings and Godspeed in all that you do. And we hope that you have a wonderful retirement. Thank you for everything that you've done for the Penn-Harris-Madison School Corporation. And we'll move on to our instruction action items. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and the board of trustees. Tonight we have an exciting trip to Japan. We're planning to go to Japan. So we're going to have this absolutely amazing high school teacher. So, Konbanwa, Sensei Wolfgang. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're talking about the approval, giving the approval of the Penn High School field trip to Japan during the summer of 2023. And then I'm going to let Dr. Short add a couple of comments.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Wolfgang here this evening so she can share with us about the Japan exchange program scheduled for this summer, and we will be seeking final approval this evening. So welcome.
Konbanwa, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, and members of the board. I'm very pleased to report the progress we've made in the planning of the trip to Japan. If I can figure out how to move here. So we have 8 students who have committed to going, and they've committed to the point that they've made their first 2 payment installments, about $1,000 each. And Mr. and Mrs. Bergeron will be going along as chaperones. And then, of course, I will be joining the students. We will leave Penn on July 20th and take a charter bus to Chicago to fly to Japan. And then we will return on August 4th to Chicago and then to Penn via charter bus. The itinerary, once we get there, will be, the dates will be more specified by the people at Yamate Gakuin, but we will be having a sightseeing trip to Yokohama, a sightseeing trip to Tokyo, and an excursion to Tokyo Disneyland. I've never been to any of the Disneylands or Disney World, so this will be my first one in Japan. The students will also participate in a culture day there. And opening ceremonies are very important in Japan, so the opening ceremony and the closing ceremony will be important too. And then the students will stay with families, and their host parents will arrange various family activities throughout the rest of the time that they're with them. So far we've had an initial meeting to inform parents and students of the program and the opportunity. And then we had a second meeting to make sure everyone was on board with getting their passports and preparing and what the payment schedule was going to look like. And then in March, we're going to have another meeting to help the students get ready to host Japanese students that will be coming April 14th to April 28th. And we will have, I think, 35 of those students, although I'm still looking for one more host family for 2 boys. So if you know of anyone who would like to host 2 Japanese boys for 2 weeks in April, please let me know. So we will also, I want to give a shout out to Frau Dix, who has just been incredibly generous with all her experience from the GAP program. She made a suggestion to make sure we get all of those permission forms and waivers and all those things that we needed signed at that March 15th meeting. So that is the plan, so that we will be talking a lot about hosting, but we're also going to take advantage of that meeting to make sure that we get all the forms that we needed. Just give them to the parents there and don't let them take them home, sign them and get right back to us. So that's going to be very helpful. And then when it gets closer to us, to our time to go to Japan, we will have another meeting, at least one. I think I'm going to have some student meetings too, to teach them how to be a polite guest in a Japanese home. As you probably all know, politeness in Japan is extremely important. So they'll have some very practical things to learn, and then general information for traveling abroad. Okay, so safety-wise, the students will buy insurance, of course. travel safety information is available. Right now, things are looking good. It's a level 1 normal travel precautions. So of course, we'll keep an eye on that as the trip gets closer. I feel like I skipped a slide on the cost of the trip. There we go. So I think originally I said that the cost of the trip might be close to $3,000, but we were happy, I think because we got a ticket price early on, we were able to get cheaper tickets than we had expected. So right now we're looking at $2,350 per student, which will include their airline ticket, ground transportation, both in the United States and Japan, in-country expenses such as entrance fees and things like that. And I have divided the cost of my ticket among the students. So they're paying for me to watch over them for 2 weeks. And of course, then the insurance for the students, which includes liability, health, and luggage and everything. Thank you very much for allowing me to share the progress that we've made in the planning of the trip to Japan. And I love it if you have any questions for me.
Thank you very much. Board members, any questions or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. How many times have you made the trip? One?
Have I made the trip to Japan?
Yeah, have you done this before?
I've not done this trip, exactly, no.
And I know this is quite an expensive trip, but I was wondering, I mean, and maybe I should even talk about it privately, but I was wondering, do you have students that would like to go, but just can't afford it? Is there something we can do to maybe help out, or?
I had one student who was interested early on, and he couldn't even make the $100 commitment payment at the beginning. So we kind of began to realize that he was probably not going to be able to.
I think it's a really worthwhile endeavor, and I hate to see someone who really wanted to go not be able to because of financial situation.
Right, and I must admit, when I saw all the grant money, I thought,
Yeah, exactly, I was thinking the same thing. Great mind, you know. That's all I have.
Other questions, comments?
Arigato.
Ooh, you guys are impressing me with your Japanese.
All I know is also konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa. You can always get away with domo.
Do I have a motion to approve the Penn High School student teacher trip to Japan from July 20 through August 4, 2023 as presented?
I so move. Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. Mrs. Wilking, thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful trip, and I know that our students certainly will get a lot out of it. Thank you for all
And I hope that all the high school students will benefit from it. Arigatou gozaimashita.
Move on to our instruction report item for the evening, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. This evening, Dr. Heather Short and Dr. Levon Dino will share recommendations for new science resource that will be utilized starting next school year. Additionally, they will detail how the science committee was created and the process utilized by the committee to arrive at these recommendations. Dr. Short and Dr. Dino.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. It is our pleasure to share with you this evening an overview of how we assembled the curriculum committee, what the steps were as we went through to evaluate resources, as well as how we came to some final recommendations. So I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Dino.
Great. Well, good evening, President Riley, Dr. Thacker, and members of the board. I'm excited to share with you our process about science curriculum. So first we'll start with our committee. It was comprised of principals and teachers. So we work kind of all the principals to find some teacher leaders specifically in the areas of science. And of course, we have representatives from elementary, middle school, and high school. And then it's also important to know that we cover all the content within that group. So everything from elementary science, from K to 5, to middle school 6, 7, and 8, including regular science and honors, and then also the high school. So that's everything biology, chemistry, all the way to astronomy. So we cover all of it. And then if we talk through our selection process. So first we create the committee with all of those members, and I'll share at the end the specific members of the committee. Then we get together and we do what we call as anchoring. So that's where we have a conversation about what is really important and what we prioritize when we're looking at resources. So I'll give you an example of one of those activities. We call it 5 in and 5 out. So each grade level says what are kind of the 5 standards or skills students need to come in with. and what are 5 that they need to leave with. And then we compare and have conversations. So that's just an example of some things we do to anchor, to make sure that everyone's on the same page with our priorities and goals that we're looking at when we select the best science resources. Then we do a standards review. So I'm sure many of you are aware that there are new science standards. So we call them the NGSS, which I always have to look back because I always just use the acronym, but it's Next Generation Science Standards. So from there, then we look at the 3 dimensions. So there are specific things that we look within that. So for example, the science and engineering practices, we talk about the disciplinary core ideas, and then cross-cutting concepts. So we look at all of those pieces and how those are shown in those particular curriculum offerings. So then we do a resource review. So we do an exhaustive search of all different types of curriculum, different types of resources that we think would fit our criteria. So the things that came out through anchoring and then also fit the new standards. From there, then we bring those resources to the committee. And that's an exhaustive process where we go through those things. We have a very lengthy rubric that they work through that touches base with all those things. So we look at what will be best for students. Of course, number 1, we look at the technology components. We look at how it's going to support teachers. All of those different components come out during the resource review. Then after we narrow them down to some of the final choices, that's when we had a community feedback opportunity. So we had an open house after school for both parents and teachers with the vendors present, who were kind of like the final runners in that. And the community can come and ask them questions. We also had a way for the community to provide feedback at that time. So they would fill out a rubric and could offer their thoughts on the different types of curriculum. So then from there, we arrive at our final recommendation. So we take all of those pieces. So everything that the committee, the rubrics that they put together, their recommendations, the community feedback, and we put that together with the final recommendations, which is what I'm presenting you with this evening. So for elementary, we are going to go with mystery science. So this is a part of discovery education, and a couple descriptors of what this really is. It's inquiry-based lessons, so based on questions. We do hands-on science and engineering activities. So it's not just a book, it's not just an online source, but they actually do some hands-on activities. And then there's a lot of videos to support and extend the learning. And a little exciting piece about this, there were some teachers who really piloted some of the video work when they were at home during COVID, and people seemed to really enjoy this resource and liked it. So another part of this with elementary that we're really excited about is mystery science. We're going to work on combining this with some resources we already have for the elementary. So as you recall, we use MyView Literacy. So that's our reading curriculum that we use in elementary school. So we're going to be taking these mystery science concepts and the different units and offerings they have, and then partnering them with what we're already doing in MyView to make that very smooth kind of cross-content lessons for our elementary students. Then that's also going to partner with Spiros, which we've talked about tonight, Project Lead the Way, and Code.org. So we're really excited. We'll do some summer work, hopefully, to put all of these things together and provide a nice package for our elementary teachers. Then our recommendation for middle school is Amplify Science. And the reason that this one really rose to the top, because again, it has labs included in it, so the hands-on investigations. It also has a great emphasis on literacy. So a literacy component with the middle school that we thought was very important. And then also the interactive digital tools. And I will tell you, this was something that was exceptional. There's a lot of things to help differentiate for students. There's a lot of videos that go along with it. There's a lot of language components that can support our ENL students, just an immense amount of digital resources that teachers can use within the classroom, but can also use those on the Canvas platform and things to differentiate for students. And then high school. So high school is kind of a little exciting. They always like to do their own thing, right? Just we saw that tonight, right? So they stayed true to form with science as well too. So what we looked at is many of the high school programs that are based on the new standards, the next generation science standards, are still kind of in pilot form and aren't really published yet. So what the committee decided was that they're going to pilot something this next year and then make a final recommendation for Penn High School in the future. So that's where it lands for the high school. And a special thank you. So this is our committee with our elementary, middle, and high school teachers and administrators. And I do want to take a moment right now to just say how much I appreciate this group. It was a big commitment. They have to be out of the classroom, you know, various times throughout the school year. There's a lot of research they do on their own to dig deep into this. And I am just continually impressed of how professional they were and how they always kept students in mind first. That's what was most important, right? That what is best for the students, what is going to help our students to excel in science, and I really appreciate all their contributions. So this evening, those are the recommendations that I bring forth based on what our committee came to at the end, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have or anything further. I know tonight is just to share those recommendations with you.
Board members, any questions for Dr. Dean Noah?
I would just say, make sure Ms. Parker knows, she probably already does, that history science can toggle between Spanish and English.
It does.
So our ENL students that are heritage speakers of Spanish, and even perhaps some of our Spanish world language teachers at Penn that would like to hop on that train, can utilize a lot of those resources.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, and that was one of the factors that we looked at with the elementary and middle school program of just the accessibility to differentiate for different student needs. So I appreciate you saying that.
Well, thank you, Dr. Dean Null. Thank you, Dr. Short. Hey, thank you, Mr. Parker. I saw your name on this list.
Yes.
And thank you to all of our elementary, middle school, and high school teachers who collaborated on our science curriculum. Appreciate you. And tonight's information was presented strictly for informational purposes. This will come back up for a vote of the board at a later time. Thank you all. We'll move on to our next agenda item, which is the general obligation bond. Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley and Board of Trustees. Chief Operating Officer, Dr. Lensky, will discuss the next steps of the 2023 general obligation bond for capital improvements. Dr. Lensky.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. Good evening, President Riley, members of the board. At the board meeting on the 13th, Executive Director of Business Services, Mr. Jerry Hawkins, presented to you financial information related to the 2023 general obligation bond for our capital improvements, and you authorize the publication notice of that hearing. The publication will take place on March 9th and 16th, and the hearing will take place at the March 27th board meeting. Tonight, the next legal step is outlined by Ice Miller, which is our bond counsel, is to adopt a preliminary bond resolution and the reimbursement resolution. The preliminary bond resolution indicates the bond will be for $6,105,000 and is to pay for capital improvements. The reimbursement resolution just simply states that the school district can reimburse itself after the sale of those bonds. So the administration requests your approval for these two items this evening.
Board members, any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the Exhibit A, preliminary bond resolution for the general obligation bonds of 2023 as presented?
I so move. A second.
All those in favor vote aye. Aye. Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the second motion. Do I have a motion to adopt Exhibit B, the declaration of official intent to reimburse expenditures resolution for the general obligation bonds of 2023 as presented?
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. The motion also carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Linsky, for your work on that item, and we'll come right back to you in just a second, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley, Board of Trustees. Dr. Linsky is also going to share a request for approval to award bids for some capital improvement projects. Dr. Linsky.
Thank you, Dr. Thacker. We have two items this evening we're requesting your approval on. The first is for interior improvements at Mary Frank and Moran Elementary Schools. The scope of that work is included in your packet, but it includes interior improvements for classrooms, hallways, extended learning areas. Contractors are going to provide some updated finishes such as LED lighting, replacement of aging ceiling tiles and grid work, as well as wall paint. The project was advertised. The district received 3 bids. We recommend awarding to the lowest, most responsive bidder, Gibson Lewis LLC, in the amount of $1,006,500. If approved, these improvements would take place this summer and be ready for the 23-24 school year, or 23-24 school year. The second request is for the 2023 bus replacement purchase. This is in accordance with our bus replacement plan. We're looking to purchase 12 school buses. 11 of those will be traditional conventional buses, 66 passenger. The 12th bus will be a handicap accessible lift bus. We are recommending that we use the Central Indiana Education Services Center state purchasing list. We've used this in the past. We've been very pleased with it. The state bid list does include all legal specifications for school buses that exceed the National Congress on School Transportation requirements. These buses will be powered by diesel fuel, match the current body styles and chassis in our fleet, and be outfitted with all the current safety technology that we've upgraded these past couple of years. This includes both driver and student air conditioning. A big fan as the weather starts warming up in a couple weeks. The administration recommends awarding the purchase for the buses. The individual cost for the traditional bus is $146,910. The lift bus is $156,905. And we're recommending awarding to Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing for a total cost of $1,772,915. I do have to note that these buses will not be available for 12 to 13 months. They're all backed up with the buses. So happy to answer any questions you may have.
Board members, questions for Dr. Linsky? There are two motions that I will present related to the capital building improvements project bid quotation awards. We will take one vote on two motions. Do I have a motion to award the Mary Frank and Moran Elementary Interior Improvements Project Gibson Lewis LLC in the amount of $1,006,500 and award the 2023 bus replacement purchase to Curlin Bus Sales and Leasing for a total cost of $1,772,915.
I so move.
Second.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Linsky. And congratulations to our representatives from Moran who are here. Move on to our next business discussion item, Dr. Thacker.
Thank you, President Riley. We're moving on. This is the first reading of an acceptance of a Jewel lawsuit. So Board Attorney John Rogers will lead this next item for us this evening regarding this first reading of the acceptance of the Jewel lawsuits. Mr. Rogers?
Thank you, Dr. Thacker, President Riley, members of the board. PHM is a plaintiff in a nationwide class action lawsuit brought against Jewel, the vape manufacturer and seller. Class members have received a proposed settlement now, which would net PHM approximately $180,000. The settlement amount to be paid in installments over a 3-year period, with the first installment to be paid approximately October of this year, 2023, and the final settlement offer to be paid in December 2026. If approved by the board, we must submit our notification of approval of the settlement by April 7th, 2023, this coming year. And it's expected our second reading of this matter and approval at that time would be asked at the next PHM board meeting to take place March 27th.
Board members, any questions for Mr. Rogers? Mr. Rogers, we thank you for presenting this item to the board, and we will bring it up for a vote on March 27, 2023 at the board meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to our next item, which is the hearing of visitors at regular meetings. The public is invited to address the board on general topics under the hearing of visitors without registering. A time limit of 3 minutes shall be enforced for persons wishing to speak during the hearing of visitors. Board Attorney, Mr. John Rogers, will keep time and will let you know as your time is expiring. It is requested that names and addresses be stated at the beginning of your comments. Individuals may speak only once during this section of the agenda. Personnel issues are absolutely not to be addressed during open sessions of the board. Concerns about individual employees of the district should be brought to the superintendent or to his designee. The board does not respond to questions or comments posed during the hearing of visitors. We do have one individual who has asked to speak virtually. He did pre-register, so I'll call on him first. After that, I'll go to anybody who is here in the theater. And then I'll go back to you, Mrs. Hugenboom, once again for anybody who is joining us virtually. So with that, the board welcomes and thanks Mr. Eric Kramer for joining us tonight.
Good evening. My name is Master Eric Kramer, active duty soldier currently. And both currently schools there. I'm just here to request that school starts up a JROT program. I think that ties this it would very.
Mr. Kramer? Mr. Kramer, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, but we seem to have a connectivity issue. We're hearing only a couple of the words that you're saying per sentence. So why don't we try to have you log out and then log back in? And Mr. Kramer, I will come back to you, okay?
Yes, sir.
While we wait for Mr. Kramer to log out and log back in, is there anybody here in the room who would like to address the board? All right, seeing none, do we have anybody else who has asked to join virtually?
No, we don't.
Okay, then let's wait for Mr. Kramer to come back. Welcome back, Mr. Kramer.
Yes, can you hear me better?
So far, so good. Welcome back. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Board member, I'm a graduate of and requesting that in our AROT program there. I think this community would benefit from it.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Kramer.
Mr. Riley?
We still haven't,
I'm wondering, Mr. Riley, I'm wondering with Mr. Kramer's permission, since I think we know what he's talking about since we received his letter. I'm wondering if I may have permission to read his letter to the board, but I want to make sure I have it from.
Mr. Kramer, with a nod of the head, we're going to ask you a question. We did receive a letter that you sent to the board. Ms. Claire Roach, one of our board members, our secretary, is volunteering to read to the public what you wrote us. If you could nod your head and let us know if that's okay with you, we'll proceed to do that.
Thank you. First off, Mr. Kramer, thank you for your service to our country.
Correct.
My name is Master Sergeant Eric Kramer. I graduated from Penn back in 2002, and I joined the U.S. Army in 2003. I'm about to retire after 20 years, and I'm looking at potentially starting up a JROTC program at Penn. In order for the program to get started, I need the school board to agree on starting up a program. I'm currently stationed at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and I'm curious about the best way to meet with the school board and present the idea and answer any questions, which, now this is Claire Roach speaking again, which is why I think you tried to join this meeting virtually. So I'm gonna stop reading there because at that point on, I think it's private, but I really appreciate that you took the time to join us virtually from Kentucky, and I am certainly open to this idea, and I'd like to see what might come of it.
Yes, and Mr. Kramer, thank you for the letter that you sent to the board. We have discussed it with the administration. We do expect somebody from the administration to reach out to you and welcome your further input. And we look forward to seeing you again at a future school board meeting. And as Ms. Roach said, thank you so much for your service to our country.
Go Penn.
We'll move on to board reports and requests. Board members, anything to report or request? Hearing none, we'll move on to announcements. Next regular meeting of the Penn-Harris-Madison Board of School Trustees will convene Monday, March 27th, 2023 at 7 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I submit.
All those in favor vote aye.
Aye.
Any opposed vote nay. Motion carries unanimously. We're adjourned at 8:39 p.m. Thank you all so much for joining us. We wish you a great rest of your week.